Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Mississippi Live weather at 6 on what has been a stellar Wednesday. We anticipate that we're going to have some limited rain chances in the next couple of days. But honestly, if you're looking toward the 4th of July holiday, I think we're in good shape for that. Even if with limited chances into the weekend, I think most of us are fine. I mean, honestly, this has been a near perfect start to the month of July, if you don't include the rainfall we had yesterday. So I guess restart to July. As we look outside, it has been a lot of sunshine today, despite even a few clouds. There are some spotty showers that are possible on your Thursday, and I think most of us, it is at most sprinkles, but it's not impossible that maybe it's a little bit more than that, and we'll dig deeper on that here in a minute. But hotter, and we do expect to be dry for the 4th of July. We're looking toward that. We're also looking at the far extended forecast, hopefully answering some of your questions related to weather with our interactive segment a little bit later on in this broadcast. But outside right now, Batesville, this is what a lot of us are seeing. The temperature, 86 degrees. I mean, those north winds today have been helpful. The wind's calm, though, at this point in Batesville. And look just how flat the clouds are. You can tell based on vertical development when things are more unstable, and to a certain extent where there's more moisture there in the atmosphere. The dew point at 70, so it's not like it's dry air, but it's July, comparatively speaking to where we've been. Not as humid, that making a difference for sure. Looking at the clouds, just some high thin clouds primarily showing up on our visible satellite perspective here, extended back towards Sledge and out there into the Mississippi Delta. Those kind of moving in a sign that, of course we have that filtered sunshine, but we're also losing some of the puffier clouds that we have had around for today as we've lost the daytime heating. We would look towards something like you'd have farther west there that looks a little bit more agitated if we were looking for rainfall, and that's just not something that we have. On the wider perspective, that shows up a little bit better with the active weather down closer to the coast and back out toward Texas and Oklahoma. Temperatures today have certainly warmed up, but not as hot certainly as we were a week ago or even were yesterday for that matter. Upper 80s out there still as of 6 p.m. in Tupelo and Starkville, 92 down toward Jackson, 80s down toward the coast. But the air is drier, and that is the bigger story. The reason it is certainly more pleasant. As we go over the first 12 hours here, we're 85 at 7 p.m., 76 as we look toward 10, so no random pop-up showers likely into tonight. We stay dry. We are 72 by 1 o'clock in the morning and back into the upper 60s by early tomorrow. And I know this has a percentage on there. Let's talk about that. Rain chances are not good over the next 24 hours, but they're not zero either. I don't think that's something you should change any plans for, but looking back toward locations in Oklahoma and Texas, we are watching kind of some moisture is going to roll through, and we'll dig into this with the jet stream a little bit later on in this broadcast, but that could again lead to perhaps a few sprinkles that get closer. Our front that's brought us the drier air all the way down there south of Hattiesburg, heading toward the coast. So the whole state getting involved in something more meaningfully pleasant at this point. And you can see the H there at the top of your screen, high pressure, part of the reason why is that settles in with the drier air. But nonetheless, even directly below part of that H, you can see some of the green there. So again, rain chance isn't zero, but what this is maybe some sprinkles, and that's probably it. As that falls into relatively drier air, air near the surface. I think a lot of it evaporates, and we're not expecting more than a couple hundredths of an inch of precipitation if this were to actually turn into something. So I think that's one of the good signs that we have going forward, that we're likely going to stay relatively dry. So over the course of the next 24 hours, yes, we do have limited rain chances there for tomorrow. Most of us probably into the dry category with high temperatures. You can see 86 by noon and 90 as we head toward 3 p.m. under what should be mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Maybe a few more clouds than what we had today. I don't know you'll necessarily sense a big change there, but it is noteworthy that there could be, again, a few more clouds for tomorrow. The heat index, though, very manageable. Again, just that things will get as we look toward your 4th of July holiday. That's coming up as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after this.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lawpon.
Okay, so it's summer, so there's no denying it's hot in some form or fashion. But one of the ways that the National Weather Service is helping us to now kind of assess heat risk is that there's actually a heat risk product that they put out. And it does a good job of, I think, boiling it down. The way I think we've done a good job of boiling down, what is flooding rainfall risk? What is severe weather risk? So what is the legitimate heat risk this time of year? Because it's always some version of hot. And the point is I think that, yes, we have 90s out there for conditions today and upper 80s. There's a limited risk out there for sure, but nothing that's over the top. Over the next couple of days, I do think that gets maybe a little bit greater. I think for your Thursday, not much of an issue there, is that heat risk in most locations doesn't show up to be too terribly high. Now, by a 4th of July, yeah, there are some spots here where more to a moderate heat risk. You want to make sure to be hydrating, try to cool yourself off, but I don't think that heat index is over the top, and we'll look specifically at that here in a couple of moments. As we head towards Saturday, though, and the actual temperature starts pushing into the mid-90s, maybe some upper 90s out there, you take a heat index and push that over 100. That's where, again, that heat risk becomes more significant. Typically, if you're out in it for longer periods of time, you're more at risk, but just something to keep in mind, because, of course, one of those locations, we're showing that up there toward Pickwick Lake, and we know that by this holiday weekend, there's some people who have just been waiting to get there and actually go to a lake and just haven't really got a good chance to do that because of all the rainfall that keeps landing on weekends. Well, this one is not the case for the most part, but that high temperature you'll notice by the weekend, we're expecting those to be into the mid-90s. That's before you factor in any moisture, and that'll make it feel like it's closer to the triple-digit point. Again, not extreme, not as high as it was a week ago, and you can see, again, this time of year we typically expect this, so it's not something that's that unforeseen by any stretch of the imagination. Futurecast here, again, into tonight. It tries to show a couple little sprinkles out there. Again, not impressed, and that's a takeaway that we need to look at when we start looking at what Futurecast is kicking out in other places as well. It's kind of widen things out, kind of on the perspective here. Again, the takeaway, I think for the most part, we are dry for tonight. We keep some clouds around 10 p.m. here, 11 o'clock as we get toward midnight. A few showers out toward Arkansas. And again, even where you see these, there's not much in the way of yellow showing up, so it's not going to be particularly meaningful, with primarily just cloud cover around the region as we begin the first part of tomorrow. As we go through the day, a limited chance to have a couple of light showers. Okay, so this is where those percentages come in we were looking at a moment ago. So the percentages, start talking about what's the coverage, the likelihood of meaningful rainfall. This is probably just sprinkles, really at most. We're not expecting more than maybe a couple hundredths of an inch of rainfall, and even then that's pushing it. So I think almost all your outdoor plans, unless you're uber sensitive, I think are in good shape. Of course, it is Thursday, so we don't expect to have maybe a ton of those around. I think it's still probably a pretty good day to try to go outside and enjoy what's not an excessively hot forecast. But you'll notice, again, most of the rainfall remaining in the green. You got to go all the way down there in Louisiana before you have anything to even start showing up with a little bit of red associated with that. So again, I think for the most part, we're going to be in pretty good shape as far as this is concerned for rainfall tomorrow. It's just not going to be a big factor. Rain chances over the next few days. Again, Friday, 4th of July, we have that at 0% coverage. And we'll look at that with our future cast here in a minute. For the most part, again, we expect that to be a dry day. In a lot of ways, probably the day I feel most confident is going to be dry at this point here. Chances for rainfall get slightly better by Saturday into Sunday. And obviously the first part of next week, we've seen some returning moisture, and that'll start upping some of those rain chances as well. So as far as high temperatures are concerned for your Thursday, 92 we're going in Tupelo and Amory, about 90 Eupora and Louisville and Macon. Our normal 30-year average for this time of year comes in at right around 91, 92 degrees. So, I mean, this is right on par for what we would typically expect. The heat index, about 93 Houston, 95 Grenada, 96 down for Greenwood. So again, mid-90s with the hottest temperatures back out toward the Mississippi Delta. And then as we go to Thursday night, again, mainly dry conditions. You got to go fairly wide to kind of pick up on anything of significance. And even then, we're looking all the way back out here, toward Texas to see something there. So, I mean, the overall pattern here is just not good as far as rainfall, thankfully, going into your 4th of July. So let's keep it wider here. If maybe we have some folks who are going to do some traveling around the state and because we expect it to mainly be dry, give you kind of a perspective on that. As you can see, looking at maybe some pop-up showers out there closer to Greenville. We mentioned a little more moisture, so maybe an issue with that or two. But I mean, 1:32, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as far as this state is concerned, you got to go down to South Mississippi to have even a slight chance. And this is obviously not a lot of moisture depicted here on our strike model, our exclusive model that we look at. We look kind of the mid-range time period there. On the wider shot here, though, we do know that a lot of folks tend to go down to Florida for these holidays. And obviously, the farther east you go, kind of a disturbance there that'll bringing a lot more rain chances out that direction. Some of those do try to work their way closer to locations around Destin, perhaps Pensacola. But we're looking here at 10 p.m. Friday on your 4th of July. I mean, if you look across the state, we're about as dry as you're ever going to get this time of year. So in a lot of ways, it looks like the forecast certainly working out to our advantage as far as that's concerned. High temperatures on Friday were 94 degrees in Greenwood and Grenada, 92 Cleveland, Clarksdale 93, and about 94 for Tupelo and for the Amory area. The heat index, you'll notice in some spots is actually maybe just a little bit cooler. The takeaway being the amount of moisture in the atmosphere isn't high. And that's why, again, we also maybe not miss out, but don't receive as much as far as rainfall is concerned. So hour-by-hour forecast on your Thursday will be 69 at 7 o'clock in the morning, 86 by noon. High temperature coming in around 92 degrees with probably upper 80s there as we head toward 5 p.m. Again, I could make an argument, maybe a 10% coverage of rainfall, but I expect most of us are probably going to end up being dry. We're dry through your 4th of July, dry for the most part Saturday, though as you saw a moment ago, rain chances at 0 on Saturday. It's just not very good. And then by Sunday and the Monday of next week, those rain chances start getting a lot better as thunderstorms become more likely. Could have a lot of heavy rainfall with some of those once again, but July, that's kind of what we expect. And notice temperatures get a little bit cooler during that time frame as well as we continue to kind of transition back to more as far as rain chances are concerned. Okay, now coming up here in just a moment, we're going to look ahead at the far extended forecast, and we're going to try to answer some of your questions about how weather is going around the region. That's coming up here as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Okay, is this in good shape? Are we back? We're back. So a couple things we're looking at here kind of as we, I was trying to get the chat all up and going, and sometimes that takes me a little moment behind the scenes as we're still kind of learning some things here. One of the big headlines I would say for the last couple weeks has just been how much rainfall we have seen. I mean, it's not just here. This is looking at the last 7 days over really the eastern part of the country. It's pretty significant, right? There's been a lot of rainfall that we have had. And so as you might imagine, one of the good things from that is that, drought monitor, things of that nature have been in kind of better shape recently. As we look kind of basically drought monitor as it stands now, we have largely been relieved from the drought. That's no real shock there as well. But I mean, when you start looking also at just like how much rainfall and just kind of putting some perspective on that here, it's been extremely significant where, we show on here, in some spots, we're talking almost 300% there around the Golden Triangle of what we typically would see over this last 30-day period. So most of us have seen a very, very significant amount of rainfall really over a fairly short period of time. So if you're like, it seems like it's been really soggy in this pattern, it absolutely has been. That is just kind of where we have been stuck with this and likely will continue to be going forward for the next little while. So let's look then at kind of where we go on this overall pattern here over the next few days. And so to do that, I'm going to look at something that we refer to as the jet stream. It's a measure of kind of winds aloft, and we kind of look for big changes in this to determine the different weather patterns and how things overall change. So on kind of the wider shot here, you can see the pattern. The reason why we have that limited chance for rainfall on your Thursday is because we have what's called northwest flow aloft, right? Winds are coming from the north and west. And so you get these little waves and they try to bring us some moisture. But at the same time, we're fighting that with the overall drier air that this pattern kind of brings with it. And that's why I think we largely end up probably fairly dry as far as the next couple days are concerned. I mean, even through Friday, through your holiday for Independence Day, our winds aloft are actually a kind of a north and northeast direction. That's not something we get very often. And I think that's a gift that's going to bring us the dry conditions then. But our overall pattern here is kind of jammed up. On this wider shot, we sometimes refer to what we're looking at here as an omega block, because you kind of have that Greek shape omega going on here. And so you typically don't get a huge shift in the pattern. That's why it's a gradual uptick in rainfall chances as we go forward, as this kind of, we're really bending this back to kind of almost an east direction aloft with this. And so I think that does start to eventually open the door for a little bit of moisture down in South Mississippi and a greater chance to perhaps get a little bit more as we open the Gulf back up as we look towards Sunday. And again, this is where those very limited chances for rainfall start to come as we look toward the first part of next week. On kind of the wider shot here, this particular projection, what we call the GFS model that we're looking at here, not our highest resolution one, but when we start looking at the extended forecast, we don't usually have high resolution projections that we can really look at for very long. So it always goes a little lower, and that increases the inaccuracy. But what we can tell from this is there's no big something to jostle the pattern. And when that happens, typically this time of year, you're eventually going to get the Gulf of Mexico start opening up. And you can see with kind of those dots there, that's what's happening with moisture starting to work its way northward. And that's when some of the rain chances start to increase just a little bit more as well. So we're kind of in this pattern again as we look toward Tuesday. We still have northwest flow aloft. We have more moisture from the Gulf, and the combination of those two things bring us more into alignment for some rain and storm chances as we head toward probably a Wednesday of next week. Now, while I said storm chances, let's clarify here for a second. This time of year, we do get these pop-up thunderstorms that kick out some strong winds from time to time, maybe some hail. This is not a pattern that will bring tornadoes. And as we talk about these extended forecasts in more detail on this broadcast, you're going to hear me say the word storm maybe more often than you're used to. I don't want that to then make you somehow feel more worried about it. We will do our best to say, no, this is a storm chance you have to, obviously be planning ahead for, and this is just storms. So this would qualify as just storms, not a tornado chance, anything like that. You'll notice we have this big ridge out west, and then again we have this ridge back to the east. Sometimes I've always liked to call this a shear axis, where you can generally have those winds out of south this direction there and winds out of north, and the opposite direction gives you an area in between where we have a little shear and development. The reason I point that out is when we start looking toward Thursday, maybe even toward Friday of next week, you still kind of, depending on wherever this lands, there will be additional rain chances. And models do a terrible job at this time period pinpointing the exact spot. So this area shear could be closer to over top of us, and with an open Gulf, that could lead to more rain chances that possibly impact next weekend's rainfall. Not the one coming up for the 4th, but the one beyond that. So still some questions kind of revolving around that, and something we'll certainly get more into over the course of the next few weeks here as we continue to kind of analyze things. Now, I am going to go back here and I'm going to pull some stuff off of your questions here for what we're looking at. I appreciate Shirley there in Mantachi for watching us, and all the folks that are, watching us all around the region. This is your opportunity to ask some questions here that hopefully we can talk about. And we appreciate everybody who has liked the app and subscribed to us. We, of course, encourage you to do that, like and subscribe. And we'd love to continue to allow you to be a part of us growing, and we appreciate that. We also appreciate a lot of the weather pictures you sent in. If I'm perfectly honest, we did not get a whole lot of those ready for this broadcast. I'm going to do a better job of that going forward as we kind of learn how to do this. But it looks like mostly what we're seeing here, a lot of folks are just, excited about what we're doing here, watching from around the area. Appreciate you, Allison and Pickwick. But this is going to be an opportunity for you to ask questions on not just a Facebook Live occasional scale, but in particular during the 6 o'clock broadcast, after we've worked our way through our typical presentation, hopefully laid things out. If you have questions, this is where we definitely like to feature those. So appreciate y'all in Ecru and Morville and all around the region. Hopefully this is something that we do believe. Who said that a second ago? I just read Storm Tracker, Dave Richards there says the future of weather in this new format. Hopefully that's the case. But this format will evolve as you give us, your feedback. So if you hate it, tell us. We'll probably change a little bit of it. If you like it, tell us, and we'll probably give you more than that, because that's the cool thing. We can do whatever we want at this point. As I joked last night, there's nothing on after this except for, I guess, more rotating weather. So someone was asking, how do people in Coffeyville keep up with us? So let me double check to see if I have it in the rundown over there, back behind the scenes here. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, who we will reveal tomorrow, has been kind of helping me out behind the scenes, making sure we've got everything. I'm going to try to pull up here for you a moment one of the ways in which you can keep up with us. And that is, of course, with the Mississippi Live Weather app. It's free and available for all of your different devices, iOS as well as Android. It's the easiest way. If you're watching us on Facebook, we love that. We appreciate that, and obviously keep doing it. But know that in the app, if you pull it up right there on the home screen, at the top of the home screen is going to be this live feed. And so you always know that you can always find what we're doing right there. And so we appreciate that. What do we got here? Yeah, exactly. We do not have everything figured out. Someone mentioned that there. One of the other questions is what we're doing here going to eventually be on television? And we do anticipate that tonight, or at least in the next couple of days, that we should hopefully be able to have our latest app, basically our Roku app, available. So we're hoping that comes here pretty soon. It's just a matter of getting that approved in the various app stores. That is something that we do expect to be approved here pretty quickly. So be on the lookout for that. And on all those different forums, if you search for the words Mississippi Live, you will find us. Roku's sometimes weird, and then if the word weather is in there, it doesn't bring it along. So you can find us again, Mississippi Live, where you're looking at there. So it is not officially on local television at this point here. At some point, potentially, that's something that we will look into. That's just not a day one thing for us. But we're a small operation, and hopefully we can do that here fairly soon. So with that in mind, we appreciate y'all for watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather today. And we will be back at 10 p.m. tonight. We'll leave you again kind of looking at some of the amazing shots, and we appreciate the folks with North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters for the kind of access that they have given us to cameras around the area. So I'll wait for one of these to kind of pop up here. I think we'll pull up Mabin if it's going to pop up there. Just a kind of a beautiful day. Actually, I believe, yeah, this is Adetin that's showing up to the west there of Starkville. Just a beautiful day. Find a way to enjoy this. There aren't a lot of days during summer that aren't ridiculously hot, and thankfully this is one. So we will see you back here tonight at 10 o'clock from Mississippi Live Weather at 10. At that point, we're going to look at the rain chances for tomorrow, see how those are going to materialize. We'll also look at potential rainfall accumulations, how much that could add up to. Here's a hint, probably not a whole lot. And we're also going to look at that forecast for the 4th of July in more detail, not just here, but around the state as we continue to prepare you for what should hopefully be an amazing holiday weekend. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight at 10 here on Mississippi Live Weather. So we'll let it play through the outbreak.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
One in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.